Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sex Ed Lecture Series. My name is Bill Taverner, and we have a really special guest with us today, Breanna Lewis, who is the instructor for an upcoming certificate program in parents, families, and sexuality education. Brianna's with us, and welcome, Brianna.
Thank you, Bill. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to talk about this certificate course. So let's get started.
Fantastic. Well, let's start by just knowing a little bit more about you. Tell us about yourself and the work that you're passionate about in the world of sexuality education.
Yes, so I'm Breanna Lewis. My background is in public health. I have about 10 years of experience in sexual health education. And so I realized that I became passionate specifically about parent and caregiver education once I became a parent. I realized the importance of teaching my young person about bodily autonomy and sexual health for himself, primarily because I think back to when I was a young person growing up. My mother is a nurse. She taught me sexual health education, but it was mainly the typical STI prevention, pregnancy prevention. And then I started to realize that sex education expands beyond just STI prevention and pregnancy prevention. And so I think it's important to create spaces for parents and caregivers so that they can have these conversations that go beyond the typical what we consider sex education to help their children feel confident and informed about all the aspects of sexual health education, including sexuality, bodily autonomy, family communication, healthy relationships, boundaries, and all the things that we don't think to talk about with our young people. So I'm passionate about breaking these generational cycles of shame, giving families the tools that they need to have healthy, age appropriate conversations with their young people in their lives. And even trusted adults. At some point, someone will be identified as a trusted adult, hopefully. And so I hope that I can help equip them with the skills that they need too if someone confides in them to be able to equip young folks with the confidence that they need to make informed decisions about their bodies.
Let's explore some of the words that you brought up. You said bodily autonomy, and for those, for some, that may be a new phrase. Tell us what you mean by that.
Yeah, so it's as simple as having control and say so over your own body. I teach everyone that I come into contact with that your body is your body. You get to say yes, you get to say no, and people have to respect that. People should respect that. And so that's what bodily autonomy, that's what it means. And that's what I like to teach and promote, especially for young people. Many times young people are taught that, oh, I have to do what this adult says or this caregiver says. One of the things that I always like to give as an example is when folks want to hug or kiss my little one, if he is not in a space where he wants to do that, I tell him it's okay to decline. So I teach him bodily autonomy through action and example. And so I love giving that example with young people in particular to let them know that, hey, you get to decide who touches your body, when they touch your body, and what that looks like for you.
So what I'm hearing is it's not just the words that we use when communicating with our children or children in our care. It's also our actions, how we role play.
Young people learn by doing and watching examples. And really, that could be true for any of us, right? At any age range, being hands on and learning through examples. So I think that's particularly important when we're talking about working with young folks and our kids.
So how does this play out with younger children who might on one hand be told that your body is your own, no one, is allowed to touch it except for you, but then, a relative comes over and the parent insists you have to give them a kiss, you have to give them a hug. Are you going to be exploring concepts like that in the course?
Absolutely. So that's a perfect example of not only bodily autonomy, but also teaching what consent means and what that looks like. Helping children set those boundaries for what they're comfortable with, what they're not comfortable with, being able to say no. A lot of people, even as adults, and I'm sure you all can relate, sometimes we have issues saying no. It's hard to say the word no. And so it's important to start that practice early on so that you become more comfortable and confident to say no, even if that no may hurt some feelings. So I think it's important to teach other adults too in those moments about respecting boundaries, saying no, being okay with saying no, and all the things that come with teaching a young person about themselves and their confidence.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the program that you've constructed. Can you walk us through? I know we have both live sessions that are going to happen as well as pre-recorded sessions. Can you walk us through a little bit how the course is structured and what learners can expect?
Yes, so I have a background also in teaching at the collegiate level. So I'm super excited about this because now I get to teach sex ed, my passion, right? Teaching parents, caregivers, other professionals who work with youth or who are interested in working with youth. And so this program is designed to be interactive, but also very flexible, which is why we have the dual component of the live and the pre-recorded session. So if you're a busy professional, if you're a busy parent, and you may not have the time for the typical course structure that we all know of, this is a really good balance and introduction into parent and caregiver sexuality education. Each week, participants will join for a 90-minute session, and this is where we'll really have the live conversations. We'll dig deep into the topics as outlined by the syllabus, answer questions, practice real life scenarios. I get to share more examples. And I also want to learn from my participants. I want to hear about their real life scenarios and examples and things that they have to offer to the class. Then, when we're not in class, participants will have access to the 1 hour pre recorded lectures, which come from the Sex Ed lecture series. So, if you haven't checked that out yet, please go check out the Sex Ed lecture
Thank you
series.
for the promotion.
But that's for that foundational knowledge. There'll be some reflection prompts, some readings to help folks personalize what they are learning and reflect on those items. And then, of course, I have a fun project. I love a fun project. So don't look at it as, oh my gosh, I have to do this project, but it is really fun, where you get to be creative. You get to really apply all the concepts that we're learning throughout the course and how you're going to take those concepts to approach family sexuality education.
You said that the program meets every week for live sessions. That's 90 minutes on Tuesday and then another 90 minutes on Thursday for 4 weeks. And then there's a total of 12 pre-recorded webinars. Tell us a little bit more about how is the group going to absorb and reflect and discuss the pre-recorded webinars or their assignments related to them? How are the students going to be using the pre-recorded content?
So from the pre-recorded content, there will be what I like to call reflective essays. And so that's what I mentioned earlier. That will be part of those moments where you get to reflect and apply the different things that you've observed in those pre-recorded webinars. Then we take that information. You can feel free to share in our group setting during our live sessions what resonated with you. We'll also have some discussion questions that are involved. I have some activities where we'll be doing some role plays. There'll also be opportunities, of course, for Q&A. So there may be a concept that you saw in the pre-recorded sessions, or even just in the live discussions that we're having, that you may have some questions about, or something that's challenging for you, or a real life experience that you want help navigating. And not only for myself, but I also want to take this opportunity for you all to learn from your peers as well, because we all bring experiences into the room that can create a learning opportunity for everyone.
Oh, I love that we all learn from each other. It's not just one person coming with all of the answers. We're all going to figure all this stuff out together, but with some guideposts along the way.
Correct.
Great stuff. Tell us a little bit about the age span. I know it's the program is about working with parents and families, and you use the phrase trusted adults. So recognizing that the most important people in a young person's life is not necessarily a parent or an aunt or an uncle. It could be a variety of people. Can you speak a little bit more about how you're defining parents and families in this context?
Yes, so anyone who works with children can take this course, or young people. So again, we talk about, sometimes unfortunately folks have situations where the parent or the caregiver or who they're living in the home with is not that person that go to for sex ed. Now, in my ideal world, I would love that. But we know that that's not the reality for a lot of folks that we work with. And so I think it's important for folks who may be identified as a trusted adult to be equipped with this information so that they can navigate these conversations and feel prepared. I know sometimes young people may say things that can knock us off guard, or make us clutch our pearls, so to speak. And so this class is really builds on some tools that can help you navigate those situations, help you to feel better prepared to address those situations. So even if you're not necessarily a parent or a caregiver directly, you may come into contact with a young person who may view you as someone that they trust to share information with, or you may act as a person that has been identified by that young person's parent or caregiver as someone that they trust for you to have conversations with their child with about sexual health education. And I know we're speaking a lot in the context of parents and caregivers, but also other professionals that work with young people. So I know there may be some therapists who are working with young people in their practice, or counselors who work with young people. So this course is fitting for everyone because, again, these are skills and tools that you can use not only in your professional life but also your personal life. I think being able to communicate with young people is a skill set that can help in multiple areas. The skills are transferable. And so a lot of the topics that we'll talk about while we're focusing specifically on family sexuality education, there are some things that you can gain from this course that may apply across the board for multiple areas of life and disciplines.
You mentioned young people a couple of times, and we talked about younger people earlier. What's the age range of the applicability of the content?
So I love to say there is no age range to start having these conversations. What's important is making sure that the information is age appropriate and that it's authentic because children, especially young people, they will definitely call your bluff. And so it's important to make sure that you feel, again, prepared to at least have some foundational blocks on how to start navigating conversations or start answering questions about certain topics. And so, again, in the examples that I mentioned previously about teaching my own child about consent, I didn't sit him in front of a board at 3 years old and say, oh, the definition of consent is permission. That's not how I would teach a 3 year old. However, the information is applicable because I can show my little one, hey, you have to ask for permission before you can do this. I have to ask you for permission before I can do that. So while I'm not lecturing him on consent, I'm teaching him concepts of, oh, I have to ask for permission to touch someone or to get something from someone. Someone has to ask me for permission. So the bottom line is that it's never too early. And again, this course helps provide those foundational tools so that you feel better equipped to navigate different conversations with different age ranges and that you're able to have the appropriate conversation based on those age ranges.
You mentioned earlier that students will have to write essays. Can you tell us a little bit more about the expectations of the students for listeners who may be a little, I don't want to do homework, or
Oh, don't look at it as homework. Don't look at it as homework. I would prefer that you view it more so as self-discovery and practice, self-reflection. So I want participants to be able to process their own upbringing, their own beliefs, and things that they were taught as a kid as they're kind of navigating through the different webinars and even in class. I really want this to be about sharing experiences and reflecting. So there is no right or wrong answer. I can't tell you, oh no, your experience is not valid. I would never do that. And so this is more of a self reflective tool, and also, it is a course, so we still want to keep the component of reinforcing what is being discussed and learned as we navigate through the course. But I want it to be fun. So, of course, I'm saying that as a professor, right? But seriously, I want it to be viewed as something that is fun, something that you enjoy doing, something that you look forward to doing to reflect on your own experiences or what resonated with you. I do have a few prompts that kind of help guide your writing so that you don't feel stuck or know where to start. But again, I don't want you to look at it as, oh my gosh, I have to make an A on this. I have to get this right. This is about you and your learning experience. And that's what's most important to me. And then we bring that in our conversations together to learn from one another.
how about attendance? There's 8 live classes over the course of 1 month. So what if someone has to miss a session? They have, something came up in their lives. Like, what's your policy and expectations on attendance?
Okay, so I get it. We're busy professionals, things happen, and I absolutely understand that. Students are expected to spend the necessary time on their work outside of the course and come into the course as well. Again, I would appreciate to be notified ahead of time if something comes up or a student is not able to attend a particular course. We only meet 8 times, so there's not a lot of opportunity to miss. However, I'm very flexible in that I would, as long as we communicate, then I'm able to arrange an alternate assignment or provide provisions for whatever was missed from not attending class during that designated time.
Got it. Got it. Can you tell us a little bit more about about some of the challenging topics? You mentioned consent, and the corollary to that would be sexual abuse or sexual assault, or maybe some other challenging conversations. Some parents might not know how to answer, or may have their own misunderstandings about gender identity and sexual orientation. And what are some of the challenging topics that you plan on exploring, and what kinds of systems did you put in place or will you put in place to make sure that everybody feels safe discussing these topics?
So that's an excellent question. I think that challenging topics can be relative from person to person. It's about perspective, right? So what one person may not feel as comfortable talking about, somebody else may feel comfortable talking about. What's important for me in my courses is I do like to create a brave space. So we will have group guidelines that I like to call them that we all will agree to. And again, we're all working professionals, we're all adults, I would think for the most part. And so I think that as long as we agree to those guidelines, I will hope that myself, along with all class participants, will create a brave space for their peer to speak up, to share personal experiences on any general topic that we discuss. I do not tolerate harassment or bullying or anything that makes anyone feel uncomfortable. So if that is something that comes up in any of the classes when we meet, that will be addressed on an individual basis. But I don't think that will happen because I know that everything will go well in this course. Folks are going to have a good time in this course. We're going to have some good conversations. And if something does feel like it's a little bit too much or someone needs to take a break, that is also okay as well. So I want folks to feel brave in our space that we create together.
Now, you're teaching this course in October, which is Let's Talk Month. First of all, let's talk about Let's Talk Month, which encourages family communication about sex, relationships. Brianna, tell us how your course aligns with the themes of Let's Talk Month.
Yeah, so Let's Talk Month is all about equipping parents and increasing parents' confidence and caregivers and folks who work with young people to have confidence to have uncomfortable conversation. So throughout our course, we will be equipping folks who work with youth with confidence, comfort, communication skills, and all the things that relate to empowering folks to be able to have conversations about sexuality and relationships within the family dynamic. One of the things I really like to emphasize during Let's Talk Month is that, and I do this all the time too, but it's not just about one big talk. So let's talk. The concept behind let's talk is that this should be an ongoing conversation. So I like to encourage folks, set date nights with your young person. Have a conversation jar with your young person where you're consistently having these conversations. So I know we emphasize it during the month of October, but the message and my takeaway is that this is throughout the year you're having conversations. And it can be small things. It does not always have to be a sexual health based topic. One of the conversations can be, let's talk about your friendships. Let's talk about your classwork. Let's talk about sports. But the goal behind let's talk and my interpretation and what I like to emphasize is we're talking consistently and we're talking about everything. I want young people to feel comfortable to be able to talk to their adult about anything. And so that's what I'm equipping you all to do throughout this course. That you become open and inviting so that young people feel comfortable talking to you about anything. So again, let's talk about anything. That is my goal behind Let's Talk.
It's so interesting to hear it reframed from when I was growing up, which was the talk, right? There was no Let's Talk month. There was the talk, and you were lucky if you got it, or maybe you were lucky if you didn't get it, depending on who's delivering it. But now we have Let's Talk month, and you're saying let's expand it throughout the year and let's make these conversations ongoing, which I think is fantastic. Tell us about teachable moments. Where do they exist? What are they? And how can we use them for better communication with young people about sex and sexual decisions?
So I love teachable moments. That's actually one of our activities that we will do in the course. So I can't wait. So I love teachable moments because these are moments that are naturally occurring in regular everyday life that we can use to talk. What we keep talking about, let's talk. So this is the perfect opportunity to turn to your young person and say, "Hey, let's talk." When you see a moment that is naturally occurring. So, for example, you may be watching a show and a particular scene comes up. It could be sexual health related or not. However, a lot of times teachable moments are used for those sexual health related conversations because it takes off the pressure and the stress of having to have the talk that so many people dread. Another example of teachable moments is using real life scenarios. So I love teaching adults about the importance of using trending topics on social media. So much happens on social media, and that's where our young people are. Believe it or not, I'm sure you already knew that, but they're on social media, they're watching what is happening on various platforms from celebrities to blogs and things like that. And so that's where you have to meet them where they are. So I like to teach parents to, hey, get on social media if you're not there. So if you're not on Instagram, if you're not on TikTok, get on there, figure out what is happening so that you can use those trending topics as teachable moments. It can be a good topic or a bad topic. Hey, this celebrity couple is their relationship is being blasted on social media. What are your thoughts on that? How do you feel about this? Do you think this person is being treated fairly? How would you want to be treated in a relationship? So that's how I also like to use teachable moments to relate and connect with the young people.
How about the participants in the program? What kind of students are you expecting will sign up for this? Who is this program right for?
I think we mentioned it earlier. I think that this program is for anyone. You do not need a special title or degree, or you don't have to be a parent or anyone like that to be able to take this course. I believe that all you need is a willingness to learn, the openness to being identified as a trusted adult. And let me tell you, that is actually a big deal for a young person to come to you and say, "Hey, can I talk to you about this super important topic, something that's important to me, so much so that I don't really want to talk to my parent about it, but I trust you." I think that's an honor, and you should wear that as a badge of honor because young people, that means they think the world of you, to be honest, to trust you with that type of information. So I think that as long as you're open to that, then this course can meet you where you are. Again, like I said, I don't like to just lecture and teach. I like to learn from you all. I like from you all to learn from each other. I like to equip you with practical tools and skills that you can use. And then again, as long as you care about creating a brave space, like we talked about earlier, being open to learning, then I think that this course is right for you. And like I said, anyone can be a trusted adult at any time. And so I think this course is relevant for anyone.
This will include participants who are working with young people in a professional capacity, some parents who may not work professionally but want to develop these skills a little bit better, and anyone with an interest in working and having better communication with young people is what I'm hearing.
Correct. You got it right, Bill.
All right. Well, that's because we have good communication, which is so essential, and what you're accomplishing with this course is fostering better communication. Uh,
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to say about the course?
What I'll say again, bottom line, I believe that sex education is important for young people. The more people who are equipped to be able to have these conversations, even just increasing their comfort level in having these conversations, I think the better off young people will be as they're navigating their own life and growing into adulthood to make more informed decisions about their sexual health. And that's what's important to me. Young people being able to make informed decisions about their sexual health, and they need adults to help them navigate that. And so this course will equip you with the tools and the resources and the skills and a network that you can utilize to help make that happen. So I
Well,
can't wait to see you in October.
I can't wait. And this is the first time that we're running this program, so I'm really excited and very grateful that you're offering this course, that you agreed to be the instructor, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it unfolds. So this is the certificate program in parents, families, and sexuality education with the instructor Breanna Lewis. To register, you can go to sexedlectures.org, look for the certificate link, and sign up from there. And also on that page, if folks have financial need, there's a scholarship link as well. So be sure to check that out. If you have that need, click it and let us help you out a little bit. All right. Well, thank you
Absolutely.
for joining us, Brianna. Looking forward to the course.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I'm excited as well.